All right. So, welcome. This is the Premier Chess Adult Intermediate Fall 2020, and this is week 9. We're going to be talking about Gambit openings by popular demand. So, first thing is, what is a Gambit opening? How do you define what a Gambit opening is?
Offering a pawn, often for positional advantage.
Okay, could be a pawn, could be a piece as well. There's actually a few that are piece offerings. Now, what's the difference between a gambit and a sacrifice?
Gambit doesn't have to be accepted.
Okay. The sacrifice doesn't really have to be accepted either, but the primary difference is gambits are sacrifices in the opening, right? Sacrifices usually are in the middle game or end game, right? So gambits are primarily opening. Now, okay, so now let me just real quick give you some background as to the word gambit. So gambit comes from the Italian word gambet. By the way, does anybody know the Italian language? Does anybody here Italian or know how to speak Italian a little? Nobody. Okay. Nobody? Okay. So gambit from the ancient Italian gambero means to trip. So is a chess opening which a player, more often white, sacrifices material, usually a pawn, with the hope of achieving a resulting advantageous position. So the word gambit originally applied to chess openings 1561 by Spanish priest Ruy Lopez. Yeah, I'm sure you guys know that name, right? Named after the opening was named after him. From an Italian expression, dare il gambero, to put a leg forward in order to trip someone. Lopez studied this maneuver, and the Italian word, became known as gambit. Cool. All right. So that is gambit. We are tripping our opponent. And by the way, I also kind of realized when I was researching this is that gambits most often are done by white. So it's not very often that black would do a gambit, for example. I mean, although it can happen, white gambits are most often white doing the gambit, right? Because if you think about it, black already has he's behind half a move, right? So for black to gambit material, in addition to being behind half a move, is a significant disadvantage.
Kind of
Right?
funny that you say that because most of the time I run into them, it is black gambiting on the first move.
I mean, if you're really aggressive and you really want crazy positions, it is possible. It definitely can happen, but it's more often white.
Because I play d4, and usually, like, a lot of times the c5 or e5 comes.
Yeah. I mean, it's possible. Definitely, it's possible. Okay, so let's look at some basic gambits here. So Queen's Gambit is another very popular. Queen's Gambit, not really. I wouldn't really consider that what do you call that? I don't consider that a real gambit. Anybody have an idea why I wouldn't consider it a real gambit?
You never get to hold on to that pawn.
Yeah, it's so easy for white to recapture the pawn. Like to me, in my mind, a gambit is when you can't really recover your material so quickly. So basically, the reason that you're gambiting is for advanced development, or let's say a kingside attack, right?
There's a line with bishop e6, right, where black can try to hold on to it reasonably.
Yeah. So all right. So let's see. So if he tries to hold on to it, e3, then he holds on to it there.
This one is horrible, but bishop e6 is usually reasonable.
Okay. Right? But you guys, I'm sure you guys are familiar with this opening trap, right? Right. Everybody know the opening trap here. What's the move here?
Queen f3.
Queen f3. Yeah. So definitely, trying to hold on to this pawn leads to catastrophic results. So no good. Yeah. So let's see here. So if you go bishop e6, that is possible. So maybe in this line, probably it's best to just develop and try to maybe push these pawns forward and try to break up the connection of the bishop and the pawn, something like that. So, and maybe black would respond, try to prevent d5, and maybe we can push e4. Maybe he comes knight f3. So it's I mean, at least an interesting position. Maybe he can further consolidate his pawn. Something like that. This is kind of an interesting position. It's I don't know if it's winning automatically for black just because he has an extra pawn. Like this, this bishop is pretty blocked in. He would have to fianchetto the bishop, but still the bishop is like doesn't have open diagonal, so may not necessarily be advantageous for black. Just to have the extra pawn. So yeah, and then white has nice square for the knight on c5. So yeah. So that's the Queen's Gambit a little bit. And then, by the way, did everyone here see the Netflix series Queen's Gambit?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everybody saw it? What is your impression? Just quick impression. What do you think?
I really liked it. It was intense.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm watching it now, and I want to do another lecture just based on analyzing the games from that, because those games, Gary Kasparov and Bruce Pandolfini were consulted to make that series, with many of them are real historical games that have been played. So although the character herself, Beth Harmon, she's not, she's fictional. So yeah. All right, cool. So next we have King's Gambit. So King's Gambit yields a lot of dynamic play. Why do you think King's Gambit yields a lot of dynamic play as opposed to a queen pawn opening, d4 pawn? Well, why do you think e4 yields more tactical dynamic play? Any idea why?
Your king's a little more unsafe, so you have to be more aggressive. I don't know.
Maybe. I think the primary reason is because this pawn is not protected, right? As opposed to the d pawn is protected, so it yields to more positional closed positions, whereas e4 more tactical, more dynamic because this pawn's not protected. So there's a lot of interesting tricks. So yeah, e4, e5, f4 immediately is the King's Gambit, and this was really popular in the 19th century, with the really early chess masters, where they're like, out for blood and sacrifice everything to the wind and deliver a quick blow. So yeah. So black of course doesn't have to accept, but and again, the King's Gambit also flies in the face of every chess coach when he talks about his beginner class, saying always take care to keep this diagonal closed, e1 to h4 diagonal closed. And then they learn about the King's Gambit and they're like, what? Why did you say that? How come they're doing this? So yeah. So f4 takes, and now here there's actually two different plausible replies. Yeah, one is knight f3. Why is knight f3 a good response? What do you think?
Just preventing the queen check.
Right, preventing queen h4, right? So we already opened up this diagonal, so that's preventing that. So, but the other plausible reply is bishop c4, which was actually popularized by Bobby Fischer. He enjoyed bishop c4 in this King's Gambit line, and the idea is it does allow queen h4, but then the king would move over to f1, and I mean he's pretty safe, pretty safe there. Black can try to do a quick checkmate here, but white can block very easily. And now the knight's going to come to f3 with the gain of tempo, and he's going to try to win back his pawn. And yeah, so it's kind of interesting position.
This whole structure looked very awkward to me. Like I would never ever play this in a tournament.
Right. Yeah, I mean it's risky. You got to be ballsy to play it. I mean, this rook, it's hard to activate this rook because you can't castle. So yeah, it's definitely risky. So, but some people like it. It's a matter of style. All right, so then we have let's go. So knight f3, knight f6. Okay, developing. Okay. Everybody familiar with the Muzio Gambit? Everybody familiar with that? The name of that one?
Nope.
Okay, so the Muzio Gambit is one of those.
I think it's just.
Yeah.
No, I was just about to say. I I just vaguely remember it being a line in the King's Gambit where you also sack a knight.
Exactly. Yeah, yeah. So Muzio Gambit is when the knight is sacrificed as well for a gain in development. Actually, here this is not really the line. I'm going to show you I'm going to show you what. Yeah. So if he goes knight f3, let's say instead of knight c6, let's say he goes immediately bishop g5. Then we go bishop c4, g4. Now we castle takes, and now this is more of a traditional Muzio Gambit. And now the queen bishop formed the battery, ready to crash through on f7 and deliver some say nice attack, right? So yeah, I think this has some nice compensation though for the piece, because like I mean, black's position is completely undeveloped. White has queen is developed, bishop's developed, and the king is safe, and the rook is the king is castle, the rook is active. So it's a pretty good. I think it's a pretty good. Although here black can deliver. He can develop his bishop with a tempo, and then I don't know, maybe come here, something like that. But still, castling kingside probably not a good idea, because it's just too open here, right? So yeah. All right. So let's go back.
But
Why
it
would
seems
you
like
want
you
to do
throw
that?
your knight away.
Yeah, right.
Say-
Like it
say-
just seems like you're just down a piece now.
Say again.
I mean, you can't really win with the from there unless your opponent really doesn't see what's going on. So all that happens is you lose a knight.
Yeah. So here, for example, if we were to keep going, maybe queen takes f4, and now we're attacking the knight. So where can the knight go? The knight can't go anywhere except back. If he goes back, it's going to be mate. So really, the only thing you could do maybe is bring the bishop back. And now we take anyway. Actually, it's going to be mate. It's a forced mate anyway. So like does anybody see a better move? What do you think? What do you think here?
Queen e7.
Okay, queen e7, and then we get back our piece, right?
Yeah, but you lose the central pawn, right?
And now we're still threatening f7,
Yeah.
right? So this is it's a pretty nice position here. And let's see. And now actually in this position, white is actually winning a pawn. Yeah, he's actually up a pawn with a nice attack, right? So this is excellent compensation for that piece, right? For that sacrifice piece initially.
Black did waste a tempo with the bishop move though, right? Like you can imagine if maybe instead Black had played d6.
So so d6.
Sorry, before White captured the pawn.
Okay, so d6.
So instead of playing bishop c5 here, yeah,
Right.
maybe like d6.
So d6. Let's see. Maybe here. What'd you do?
I thought there was another tempo. Yeah, I mean, okay. The point is you still have the attack. Well, wait. How do you answer knight h6? You just take with the bishop.
Yeah, you
anyway,
can still take. Yeah,
okay.
yeah, you can still take. Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. Very interesting.
As bad as it seems, instead of d6, f6 seems better.
Let's see. F6.
Instead of d6.
Oh, sorry. Instead of d6. Okay. F6. No, then we get this. Check. No, it doesn't look good.
Ouch. Okay. Yeah,
That doesn't look good.
Gonna walk.
And now we can bring the other bishop in with a gain of tempo. Yeah, that's pretty nasty.
Yeah. I was thinking f6 would block the attack on f7 through the f
Right.
file, but
Right.
forgot about the diagonal.
Yeah. Gotta watch out for that sensitive diagonal. Yeah, so that's the Muzio Gambit. All right, so let's see what they had here. I'm just gonna go through this line, what they got here. Okay, all right. Whoa. Okay, so they're going all out that way. All right. Okay. All right. So anyway, it's an attack. So yeah, cool. All right. So let's do the From's Gambit. This is a weird. This is definitely a weird and unusual one. F4 E5. F takes. All right. So this is what do you? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So here you're kind of baiting you're baiting white into capturing all these these two pawns, so that you can have extra strength on the G3 square, right? So now it's mate in 2, right? You guys see it?
Queen h5.
Oh, sorry, mate in 3. Yeah, mate in 3. Yeah, queen h4.
And sack the bishop.
Yeah, yeah. Or even more pretty. You gotta make it pretty. You know, if you're gonna play chess, make it aesthetically beautiful. Okay. Still mate with the bishop. Very nice. Yeah. So yeah, that's one thing. But of course, you know, he can just stop the whole thing with knight c3 or knight f3, and you know, he's pretty safe. I mean, do you have it? Does black have an attack? I don't know. Does he have anything? What do you think? It looks like there's no attack anymore, right? I mean, black does have a lead in development a little bit, but it looks like white can catch up pretty easily. So, yeah, kind of risky. I wouldn't recommend it. Maybe for beginners. All right, so Smith-Morra Gambit. So this is a gambit in the Sicilian defense. This is a fairly mainstream gambit. Oh, by the way, when I play as black, if somebody offers a gambit to me, I will never accept the gambit. Why do you guys think I would never accept a gambit? Did I tell you guys this before? I don't know if I told you this.
Well, typically accepted gambit lines have lots of traps in them. Is that why?
A lot of traps, true, but I don't know. I like to feel like when I win material that I've earned it. And when I have a gambit, it's like getting free stuff from people. You know, it's like you haven't earned it. You didn't work for it, right? So if I take a gambit, it's like material I haven't earned it. And you know, nothing in life is free, right? You know, nothing in life is free. So when somebody gives you something for free, you're like, the next question is, why are you doing this? There must be some reason, right? And it's to gain an attack. And I don't want someone to gain an attack at the expense of material. So yeah. As I said before,
So
you guys.
I
Go ahead.
so I kind of have the opposite idea. So I'm sure you've heard of this saying, the best way to refute a gambit is to accept it.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I've heard that.
And I kind of follow that to the heart.
Oh, wow.
So if somebody offers me a gambit, I take it.
So you always take a gambit. Wow. No.
Almost always, yeah.
Almost.
Kind of depends on the opening, right? Like, again, I play Queen's Gambit
Yeah,
a lot.
it depends on the opening.
If anyone accepts the Queen's Gambit, I'm like, okay, great. I have a really strong like opening now because I'm gonna develop first. I'm gonna start an attack. But like, I think I accept the Smith-Morra.
Oh, you do? Yeah, I never accept a Smith-Morra. I have a friend who every single time he's white, he loves c4. He's just an e4 guy, and so I always play c5 against c4, pretty much always, and he always attempts the Smith-Morra. That's like his favorite thing. He's done so much research, so much reading on it. Like, yeah, he's got all this repertoire that he's studied about it. So I know that if I accept it, I'm delving into his territory. So why would I do that? I don't want to play on their terms, you know. I want to play on my terms. So that's the thing. So that's the other reason. So yeah, so here's the Smith-Morra, e4, c5, d4, and then offer another pawn, c3. And now, yeah, typically it's knight takes c3. Is anybody familiar with the Danish Gambit? Everybody familiar? Yeah. Okay. So Danish Gambit. Danish Gambit would be, let's just go back. E4, E5, D4, E takes, C3, D takes, and now you can take on C3. But if you want to be extra aggressive and cool, you go bishop C4, and then you allow him to take down to B2, and then you take back, and now you have nice open diagonal.
Bishops, yeah, just annihilate you.
And that's very powerful. Yeah. So this is a very interesting gambit. It's not that popular, but so you guys know how much I love chess 960, right? I've said that to you guys, right? Many times. Okay, good. So when I play correspondence, I do a lot of correspondence games, you know, because I like to keep my mind active because I can't always just sit down and play for hours, you know. So I do correspondence games. So when I play the same person over and over and over again, it gets boring sometimes because, when you say play the same, everybody has their routine. As white, I'm going to play this. As black, I'm going to play this, right? Everybody falls into a routine. It's inevitable. So what I do to get out of that routine is I say, okay, this is what we're going to do. Whoever's black gets to choose the opening for white. It can be any opening. The only requirement has to have a name. That's the only requirement. So doing that, I've really experimented with a lot of openings, and it's a lot of fun. So, and I think doing that makes standard chess more exciting. So yeah, I've learned a lot of openings that way. So yeah, Danish Gambit is one of them that's just fun to play as white and black. I've played against this as black when I've, when I was black and I wanted my opponent to play this, and yeah, it's just, it's uncomfortable kind of, but it's just it's fun. These are positions that you never would really get into because not many people do the Danish Gambit willingly.
I feel like in that situation, you request that white plays the opening where you switch the places of the king and the queen.
Does that have a name?
I think it's the Fred, isn't it?
Really? Okay, I'm gonna research
Magnus
that one.
Carlsen played it in the Speed Chess Championship as like kind of a joke when he was up by like 10 points.
Also, the Bong Cloud is
Yes,
an
the
opening,
Bong
by the way.
Cloud.
That's another great opening. So if you really want to work on your ability to, to gain an advantage without the possibility of castling, yeah, good. You can do the Bong Cloud.
Bong Cloud is E4 King E2, right?
Yep. Awesome.
I think there's also another like F4 King F2. I don't know what it's called.
Oh, really?
But yeah, I think Carlsen plays that as a joke sometimes.
Yeah. So it's fun. Okay, cool. All right, so let's look at the Smith more a little bit. All right, so white gains a nice advantage a little bit and a lead in development. Okay, so knight F6. So what do you think best move is here for white? What do you think?
E5 looks nice.
Yeah, definitely E5. So the thing is, when you are playing a gambit opening, the reason that you're gambiting a pawn is for improvement in your position and quick development, right? So if you play quietly, something like castling, then you're just allowing your opponent to consolidate, and then here and then castle, and then your opponent's just up a clean pawn for nothing. Right. So the idea of a gambit is speed, right? You need to gain the initiative and attack quickly before your opponent has a chance to consolidate and equalize, right? So here, E5 is definitely a nice move, right? E5, and what if the knight takes? What is the best
Take
move
the knight.
here?
Great knights and queens, and then you can't castle.
Okay, so I'm not going to do the move now, but I want you to visualize. Knight takes E5, D takes E5. What's the best move?
Queen takes. Or
Oh
actually,
no, bishop takes on the pawn.
Yes, exactly. So the king becomes overworked. The D file is open, and you have a nice little tactic here. Bishop takes F7, and you win the queen, right? So this is one of the little traps in the Smith-Morra. Right. If I was black, I would take with the pawn, and then it doesn't really work anymore. You can maybe take here first, and then it doesn't really work anymore. But yeah, the key is.
That looks pretty good for white at the end, though. Yeah.
Let's see. Oh, the other one. Let's see.
You have a pretty big lead in development.
Yeah, it's pretty nice. It's still pretty nice. These minor pieces are menacing. Maybe I don't know, maybe something like this to try to develop here, because then this knight is also threatening to come to B5 and create problems there. Threaten mate immediately like that. So
here's a question based on positions like this.
Yeah.
I guess maybe. One thing I'm wondering about is transitioning from the opening into the middle game. Like, say black plays A6 or some quiet move like that.
Okay.
I would think, okay, I'm going to castle.
Okay.
But then I don't have a great plan after that. Like, should I be attacking on the queen side here, on the king side?
Actually, first here I would I would just improve development. So, oh wait, you mean for wait, hold on. Here it's
Just
it's
leading
black's
to the middle
move.
game in general. Like, okay, sure, maybe I'll play like bishop e3 or something,
Mm-hmm.
but then sort of like then what? Like where there are no targets that are obvious.
Right, right.
I guess.
Yeah, and I mean, the key is to just sometimes you got to create a weakness out of nothing, you know. Sometimes you got to do that. So here, let's say black goes b5, maybe white. What was he gonna do? Retreat back to b3, and now black, develops, and I mean, it's beginning to look kind of nice for black, right? And then eventually he's gonna play, e6, and then develop his knight, and now. Yeah, and then the pawn is going to be difficult to gain back. So yeah, you kind of have lost your initiative if you wait too long to attack. So yeah, I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of theory with the Smith Mora. I don't personally play it because I never play e4. So, but this is one of the tricks. So, all right, cool. Benko. Anybody play the Benko Gambit here? Nobody's. I used to play the Benko when I was like a teenager. I used to love the Benko Gambit as black. I no longer really play it much at all, because it's really mainstream. I guess you can say it's a mainstream Gambit, and there's a lot of theory to it, and yeah, all these heavily analyzed openings. It's like you got to study in all these variations in theory, and I guess I didn't bother to do that. Maybe that's why I kind of stopped playing it, because the positions I got weren't so encouraging. So d4, knight f6, c4, c5, c4, c5. Okay, and then you offer the b pawn. Actually, incidentally, I also learned that there's also something called the wing gambit. You ever heard of that? Everybody heard about the wing gambit? So c4, c4, and then immediately it's kind of a Benko gambit but immediate. And the idea is to lure the pawn away from controlling the center, right? But or also you can just play bishop b7, gain a long diagonal. But I mean, it kind of looks like it doesn't really look like black has much of an advantage, because I think white can equalize fairly well. So yeah, so some of these gambits not really justified as much. They just look cool. All right, so b5, c takes, a6. Yeah, so the idea with the Benko Gambit is for the bishop to reach eventually this a6 square, have a nice diagonal control over there. And yeah, and this is one of the, I think this is one of the main lines where, so the idea is it looks bad for white, having to move his king, but the idea is g3, king goes to g2, and maybe f4, knight f3, bring the rook, and the white attack is pretty menacing, pretty good. So the goal for black is he's now got these open A and B files. So his goal is going to try to put immense amount of pressure on the queen side, and also using the G7 bishop as well. So yeah, something like that. Yeah. So now you got, this is a generic position. Both all the major pieces are bearing down on the A and B pawns. Yeah. Yeah. So what do you guys think of this position? Does it look favorable for black or white? What do you think?
It seems like if white knows what he's doing, he's winning. He'd probably end up winning.
Yeah.
Although
the outside passer seems like a problem.
Yeah.
You got to make sure these pawns don't get a chance to become mobile. So maybe here best move would be, no, that wouldn't work. Yeah, so you would have to protect this pawn first before you even move the bishop, right? Because the rook's bearing down. And now here, I think maybe either you can do this, and now you're hoping to create an outpost for your knight c5 to d3. That's a possibility. Also, you can reroute this knight e8, c7, and maybe dislodge this knight, trade this knight, so you can open up the diagonal for the bishop, something like that, right?
Well, in theory though, but so let's say in this position, if somehow you get a knight to e6, it gets exchanged off. The pawn on e6 is a liability. If the minor pieces are off the board,
you mean a knight here
yeah,
on d3? Okay.
yes. If black gets a knight here, and
Yeah.
let's say it gets exchanged off for another knight, so you get a pawn on e6, which is most likely a weakness. And if all the minor pieces are off the board and it's just heavy pieces, then you have the A and B pawns. You can just start rolling them down the board.
Oh, you're saying
like
you're saying that if white captures this knight with something, then you're forced to recapture back, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I think definitely you would avoid doing that because then this pawn is going to be extra weak and easy to capture. So you wouldn't want to do that. So if anything, you would just bring your knight there, try to control as much as possible, cause damage, and then trade it away somewhere.
C4 already kind of seems like a problem because of 92. And then, you can defend it, but you're kind of locking up your pieces, right?
Yeah.
They're all
it's true.
kind of stuck defending stuff.
It's true. And maybe actually before you do that, maybe you go, I'm thinking either knight b6 or rook. Yeah, maybe. Yeah, not really sure. I mean, yeah, so it's
So the biggest problem here,
maybe actually here
it's kind of like if the C.
Go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, you go.
And I was just saying that like if somehow the C pawn is lost or it's forced to capture on e6.
Yeah.
The A and B pawn, I mean, they're connected pass pawns, and
yeah.
if there are only rooks or queens left behind,
Yeah.
it's gonna be really hard to control, stop them.
Yeah, it will. So this is important. It's important to keep this pawn here to restrict the mobility of these two pawns. So yeah, that's necessary. So here, what I was saying is, since the knight moved back to d2, now we can move to e5 without being captured, and now we can head to d3 that way, and cause some problems. So yeah. And I've seen I've seen some strategy in white to go a4 to try to create an outpost for the knight there, and stuff like that.
Maybe white exchange sacks on d3 because that rook is like not gonna do anything for most of the game, right?
Oh, this rook, yeah.
Yeah, so maybe bring it up to e3 and then exchange.
Right, maybe
on d3 you win the pawn. You have connected passers.
Maybe it's a possibility. Yeah, possibility. So so I used to play this opening, but no more. But I do like c5 as a response to d5 though, just because I hate symmetrical openings. Cool. All right, so let's go on to the Budapest Gambit. Budapest. Anybody familiar with this at all? Budapest. Okay, so d4, knight f6, c4, and we have e5. Crazy move. Why would you do that? If you notice, a lot of these gambits tend to involve the king pawn. You notice that? It's kind of interesting. Yeah, it's just an interesting observation there. So e4, e5 takes knight g4, hitting the pawn, and then white will want to hold on to it. Then knight c6, trying to gain back the pawn. White still wants to hold on to it. And now bishop b4 check is a nice. That's an important move because now you're forcing white to respond to that. And so I mean, if he goes knight c3, you can take, and that would be very uncomfortable. Double isolated pawns, or most likely he's going to do knight bd2. And now, what do you think is a good move for black here? What do you guys think? Any idea? So remember, we want to keep up the initiative, right? Whenever you gambit a pawn, you have to always make sure you're attacking, right?
Is there anything off of knight takes f2 and then being able to kind of pull the bishop back for a check or bring the queen out for a check as well?
Knight takes f2.
Yeah, but what do you do about e3? That's what I was
Yeah,
looking at.
yeah, he's pretty well defended there. Yeah, no. What else? Continue attacking.
What if you played d5 now?
D5.
Takes on passant.
Yeah, you can take on passant. Yeah, he's pretty good.
Okay.
Anything else?
I feel like you want to target the bishop, but I can't see a good way of doing that.
Target. Oh, this bishop. Yeah, not really a good way. So remember, maybe we can try to bring another piece into the attack.
Yeah, you could play queen e7.
Yeah, queen e7 is the move, right? To now again trying to win back this pawn. So now now if white responds with a3, so he's like, all right, I can't save the pawn, so let me just get rid of this bishop here. So now what do you think is the next move for white?
Gotta trade, right? And that
Trade?
bishop will be trapped if you don't
Trade
trade.
Here? Okay, yeah, no, that's very logical, but it's not the move. It's not the next move in this little combination. So this is a little trap in this opening.
c5.
You mean bishop c5?
Yeah.
Yeah, that does target that. But he blocks pretty easily. Yeah, and now we're in danger of losing our bishop, right? Although yeah, we could win this, just win this back, but yeah, there's a stronger move here. What do you think? So we're looking for a Zwiesenzug, right? Intermediate move here.
It looks like there's going to be, this is setting up one of those checkmates where the queen is pinning the king's pawn and you checkmate with the knight.
Uh-huh.
You know what I'm talking about?
That's good intuition there.
Can you get there just by taking on e5 now?
Yeah. So knight takes e5 immediately threatens mate, right? So he doesn't even have time to take our bishop, right? So you take back again, renewing the threat. And if he takes here, what do we do?
Now you take on d2?
Yeah, now you capture first. Good. Capture. And now we have basically achieved equality. So nobody is winning at all. So yeah, kind of leads to equality if he doesn't fall for the mate. Right? So if he falls for the mate, then we have that beautiful smothered mate. Yeah. And that was the importance of bishop b4, throwing that check in to remove d2 from the king as an escape square, right?
Is there a name for this?
Yeah, this is called the Budapest Gambit.
No, this checkmate structure.
Other than smothered mate?
Yeah, I don't know. Where specifically the pawn is pinned and that's what
Right.
stops it. I don't know.
I don't think there's a specific name, yeah, but it's a cool mate. I like it. I like it. Cool. All right. So let's go to the Evans Gambit. Anybody play the Evans Gambit? No? Okay, cool. Everybody familiar with it? It's pretty common.
Yeah.
Pretty mainstream opening. E45, knight f3, knight c6. So pretty standard. Some would say boring opening. Bishop c4, bishop c5, and then b4. So what's the purpose of b4?
They say c3 with tempo.
Yeah, c3 and then what?
D4.
And then D4, yeah, to gain control of the opening, definitely. So takes, and you really have to take, because if you don't take, I mean that's just a nice advanced pawn.
Yeah, you lose the center pawn.
Causing problems, you know. So yeah, you kind of have to take. All right, so he takes C3. He goes back. So now you can't really. Okay, so here, see, if I was playing white, I wouldn't do C4 because I would say, oh, this pawn is pinned. But actually, here they say that. Sorry. Here they say that the when you're doing this opening, that you shouldn't care about material. So even though the pawn is pinned, you should, they're like, still push on. D4, right? E takes, and then you castle, and don't even worry about material at this point. So yeah, what if he continues to play? What would you do here? This is black at his most materialistic and greedy.
Maybe knight G5, and looking at queen D5 coming up after that, or just queen D5. Well, I don't know.
Yeah, knight G5. Okay. Let's say we have here queen. Let's say here, queen here, and he's black is doing pretty good, right? So far, he's doing pretty good.
If you do queen to B3 instead, then you can take on.
Yeah, so
F7.
yeah, so queen B3. Now he can't go knight here because of the bishop's guarding H6, right? So now queen E7, and now we recapture and ready to jump onto D5, and harass the queen and threaten a little bit of C7. And if he goes knight F6, what do we do now? What do you think is a good move in this position?
I would love to play bishop A3, but either the knight or the bishop would block on D4.
Yeah, so bishop A3. I mean, yeah, you could go here, but we can recover at least one pawn, right? With bishop takes F7, right? Bishop, queen takes, right? So we have recovered. So now white's only down a pawn, right? So that's one possibility. Another possibility is knight D5, which is automatically opening up the position, right? And when you're ahead in material, that's the first thing you should do, is open up the position, right? So yeah, take, and the E file is open, and the knight on C6 is attacked. So this bishop is the only thing guarding E1, preventing rook E1, right? So
and knight E5.
Knight takes, bishop B2. So yeah, very nice position.
What if bishop C5 when you offer the gambit though? Does anything substantially change?
Bishop C5. Let's see. Let's go back. Wait, on which move?
When you offer the gambit. So you play bishop A5, and the bishop's just been sitting there doing nothing.
Oh yeah. So if you go bishop C5, I think that's actually much better for white, because now the pawn is not pinned, right? He can throw in a little check here. Maybe you go bishop here, take. Maybe what would you do? Maybe take with the queen, maybe something like that. Yeah.
Probably the knight. That leaves the possibility of queen B3 and defends the pawn.
You want to do a knight better? Yeah.
On E4.
Okay.
Yeah, it defends E4.
Yeah, defends E4. That's true. But even if he does knight F6, you can always advance and just start attacking that way. And the knight's getting very uncomfortable, right? Pretty uncomfortable. So yeah. And if he moves down here, you kick the knight away, and then he can move up again. Does anybody know what this is called? I learned recently what this is called when these two pawns side by side are like in the center of the board, just pushing up and pushing away all these pieces out of the way. It's called a snowplow. It's like, and the analogy is like, it's like a snowplow is pushing everything out of the way. And so these two pawns together, they have to be connected, by the way. They just move up the board, and all the pieces are moving out of the way, afraid of the pawns. So yeah, that's the snowplow. All right, cool. All right, so let's go back. Bishop a5. Okay. Right there. Yeah, so this is pretty nice activity for the white pieces there. Okay, so here's a little tactic that that exists in this position, which is h4, little decoying sacrifice. And the point is to try to acquire g7, and also prevent black from castling, and also try to do a check here. Maybe with, you can even do a rook check, because it's going to get
guarding it.
Pretty dangerous. No, the bishop is guarding it, but the point is, even still,
yeah.
takes and then takes, and the point is attacking the king, right? So that you want to be quick with your attack. Yeah, rook ef to e1, king d8. Ooh, okay. Anybody see a winning move here in this position? What do you think?
Queen f3? No.
Okay, queen f3 is good, but stronger move than that. Although that is good. Actually, queen f3, and he can just take your bishop, so maybe not so good.
Yeah.
Maybe not so good.
Queen g3?
Yeah, queen g3. Wow. Very powerful move. So the idea is that if the queen leaves this diagonal, this would be mate, right? So the queen cannot leave this diagonal. And how is the queen going to maintain control over f6? Really can't without losing the queen, right? So something like this, maybe, but you lose the queen, and yeah, and it's going to be, looks like it's going to be mate somehow anyway. So yeah.
Why doesn't black queen just take white queen?
Bishop f6.
Mate.
And then, oh.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Mate. Yeah. Bishop f6 is mate. So it's basically a deflective. It's not a deflective sacrifice. You're not sacrificing queen, but you're trying to deflect the queen away from the h4 to d8 diagonal. So yeah. All right. Very nice. Very nice. Okay. Cool. All right. So we'll move on to the next one. Marshall Gambit. Maybe finish up with this one. Let's see. So d4. So here's a d4 gambit. Okay. Fighting for control of the center. Ooh. Ah, interesting. All right. Wow. All right. So yeah. So you could, white could have responded with knight c3, but yeah, but he chose to sacrifice the d pawn. Take. Okay. Interesting. Wow. Nice attack there. Yeah. Interesting. And what does black do there? Yeah. So let's see. Is there any refutation for this one? Let's see. Takes. I mean, what do you think? Any refutation for that? What can black do?
It's knight d7.
Yeah, knight d7. Yeah, you could do that. And
So both e7 and f8 are guarded.
yeah.
I was looking at a quick a5.
A5, yeah. That's another possibility. Yeah. maybe coming back. Would you come back?
I'm not
there?
sure how you stop. What if you go c5? It looks a little.
C5.
Maybe
Well,
queen
you
e5.
could just go to
Yes.
A3 though.
Yeah, knight D7 again.
Okay.
You want to trade this bishop away because the dark squares are very weak, right? Black lost his dark squared bishop, and yeah. So maybe you want to hold on to that and something like this, something like that, And now you're threatening to closing the bishop completely. So lose the
Yeah, but
bishop.
can't you stick it on d6 now? And now it's just preventing black from castling for. I mean, it seems really annoying.
You could do that, yeah. Yeah, that would be nice. A nice annoying move. Yes. Yes. If you ever hear your opponent saying, "That's a really annoying move," you know you did a good move, right?
I guess maybe rook a6 and then attack it with the queen, and it has
Right.
to back off.
Maybe rook c1.
Mm.
Maybe here, maybe something like that.
C7.
Or maybe just get the queen out of there because you want to get this bishop open too, right? So, although it's actually yeah. So the queen, and actually, if you notice that black has a back rank weakness here, so if you can get the queen and rook lined up, that would be back rank mate right here, right? You see that? So
Yeah, I was
rook
thinking rook
C7.
C7 and then queen C1.
rook c7. Okay.
So instead of F3, just
Yeah.
play rook C7 and followed by queen C1.
Mm-hmm. Possibility. Although the queen, the bishop is not, it's not attacked, so he can develop. You're right. He can't even castle yet. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, maybe the goal of this one is just to be annoying, not really much of an attack, I guess. It's the annoying sacrifice.
Well,
Actually-
wait, sorry. After queen c1, what does black do? This doesn't seem like seems hard to defend.
So here's black's move. And actually here, I think white's threatening rook takes d7, right? King takes d7, bishop e5
Winning the rook, yeah.
discovered winning the rook. Yeah. So that's kind of nice. So yeah, cool. All right.
I guess here black could play just bishop D5.
Bishop d5.
No, after rook C7.
Oh, after rook c7. Let's see.
Yeah.
Yeah, blocking the queen, right? Now the bishop is threatened.
Hanging checkmate.
Oh, right. No. Now you're hanging mate. No, good. No
Oh
good.
yeah. Never mind.
No good. Yeah. Yeah. Maybe
Or
something like
knight
this.
F6 and yeah.
No, I mean the problem is this bishop is too strong, right?
Mm,
So rook c7. The point of knight e7 is maybe to come here and try to get the bishop out of there. All right.
yeah. Also could just put it on D5. Just close out that file.
Yeah, or you can put on d5, right? And renew the well d5 and then this bishop hangs.
Or just take with the bishop, and now you're not castling.
That too. Actually, yeah, take with the bishop, and this knight falls too. Right? Nice. All right, cool. So that is a couple of gambits. We did not cover all of them, obviously. Yeah. Hope you guys enjoyed that. So is there any what are you guys thinking about for next week? Any ideas you want me to go over? Continue gambits or work on the actually, you know what? I'm finishing up the Queen's Gambit series on Netflix, so I want to do a lecture on that, on analyzing those positions, because some of those are pretty cool games as well. Would you guys be interested in that? What do you think?
Yeah.
Did everybody,
Sounds good.
did everybody see the series?
I haven't seen
saw
it.
Oh, you didn't see it yet?
No, I've seen clips from it. I saw a Gad Mentor review one of the games from it also.
Yeah. He did a couple of analysis videos about it, and then what's his name, Surin, he did another one. I think Chess Network did a couple. Yeah, a bunch of people did analysis of them, and yeah, they're really. I noticed that, I think in one of the scenes where she did a simultaneous blitz chess match, and I noticed real quick the ending of one of the games. It was I think it was, what's that called? Morphe's. Is it his
Opera game?
What's it called? The opera game?
Opera game, yeah.
Yeah, the opera game. Yeah, where the rook ends up on d8, right?
Yeah.
With the bishop, and that's his last two pieces. And he sacrifices a bunch of pieces in the process. So yeah, I thought that was pretty sweet. So yeah, would you guys be interested in that if I did that?
Yeah.
All right, cool.
Sure.
All right, awesome. Good talking to you guys. So hope you guys have a great week and a good night.
You too.
Thanks.
All right. Take care.
Good night.
Bye-bye.
Yeah.